Good morning, everyone. Clint McLaughlin here, Midwest Market Management. I got Riley Sykart on with me here today. It is Tuesday, May 19th. We're going to jump into some U.S. weather from a national yield perspective. Riley, I drove down from northeast Wisconsin here to central Iowa yesterday. A lot of planting progress along the way. Fair amount of wet holes, more in the Wisconsin neighborhood. But once we got into Platteville area from here on, you were starting to, row corn here and there. And overall, things look like they're off to a pretty good start. And looks like we're kind of back to where we need some sunshine and some warm weather. And I think this thing's going to pop.
Yeah, I think a lot of progress was made over the last 10 days to 2 weeks, and pretty much across the board. Eastern Belt's kind of the one region that map wise they'll still show that they're ahead, but talking with some guys out there, it's kind of a hit and miss scenario out there. So planning progress, speaking of it, came out yesterday afternoon. Current numbers on corn 76% versus a average of 70. So numbers across the board are ahead of average. If you look in almost every state, Michigan is a random state running a little behind average, but everywhere else, whether you're in cold, hot, everything looks to be either at average or ahead. So same story on the beans, 67% versus 53% average. So numbers are showing the crop is going to be put in the ground in a good time window. So from a national yield perspective, high yield potential is there for both corn and beans. So moving ahead, 1 to 5 day temperatures, a little cool in the north, 60s, and going down to the south, it kind of stretches all the way, only in the 80s in a large part of even Texas. So overall, one thing to note, cooler conditions is really helping regions in the west and in the delta that are really dry. So by not having the heat to go with the drought, it's at least giving them some potential to get bailed out by some rainfall that could be coming. So 6 to 10 day, very similar, just a little warmer. 70s pretty much across the board for nearly the entire growing area. So conditions that are warm still allow growth to happen, but at the same time, not hot enough to really, really stress out regions that are already plenty dry. So last 2 weeks of rainfall, as we know, last couple nights there's been rains. So very hard to illustrate on a map. It was really, really spotty in amounts. Here in Iowa, I talked to guys that 20 miles apart from each other got over an inch difference over the last 3 days. So very hard to illustrate, but the reality is a lot of people got some kind of rain, even in the west where they're really dry. Some regions getting just enough to put a little bit of a band-aid on that bullet hole out there. So still a lot of rain needed, especially as you look in the Dakotas, Nebraska, and down in the Delta. But I can tell you as we move forward, the 1 to 5 and 6 to 10 day is fixing some of the problem in the Delta. So looking really hard now at the Dakotas, Nebraska, Kansas, big producing states that are worth watching. So 1 to 5 day, I mentioned it down in the Delta. As we go to the 6 to 10 day, you'll see why more rain's coming for them. But as we're looking at this, a lot of spotty rains, chances in the west to be getting some decent rainfall. We'll just have to see what comes of it. But as you're looking, main growing states, Iowa, Illinois, Indiana, Ohio, pretty much everybody's got some chances of rain. It's just, will they catch them? Will they miss them? And it looks very similar to what we were looking at last week. A lot of spotty stuff. So we'll just have to wait and see. So 6 to 10 day shows it pretty dry in the north. But the one thing I really want to look at hard, down in the Delta, the drought monitor maps have them in really, really critical need of rainfall. And they're getting a lot over the next 10 days if all this comes to a head and actually shows up. So a lot of areas that really need some rain could be getting some. Then as we look to the west, Clint, you mentioned to me previously, some areas getting some rain, not necessarily prime growing regions as you go way out in western Nebraska and western South Dakota. but there is a chance that some of that could drag into the heart of Nebraska, heart of South Dakota that really do need rains. So the potential is there to help alleviate some stress. So when we go to the 1 to 13 day, put everything together, there is a lot of color on the board. So people that are beating the bull drum and saying that we need to really be rallying this market because of drought issues. What does that map tell you, Clint? I mean, there's rain potential. We can't make it happen, but the radar and the forecast show it could be coming.
Sure. And a lot of the areas are undoubtedly behind, and 1-2 inches is going to get soaked up and used up quickly. But it is a band-aid, in these hybrids over and over and over again. We talk about it. They're just built to limp along. And, so if this materializes, it buys time.
I agree. So overall, this was my last map. From a national yield perspective, trendline yield was set at 183, and I don't have anything today that I can say makes that unachievable. So that's where I'm at. That's all I have today, Clint.
All right. Well, thanks a lot, Riley, and I appreciate Marcus Weather Group for providing the map service for us. Again, Clint McLaughlin, Riley Sykard, Midwest Market Management. Thanks a lot and have a great day.
This material has been prepared by a sales or trading employee or agent of Midwest Market Management and is in the nature of a solicitation. This material is not a research report prepared by of Midwest Market Management Research Department. By accepting this communication, you agree that you are an experienced user of the futures markets, capable of making independent trading decisions, and agree that you are not and will not rely solely on this communication in making trading decisions. Distribution in some jurisdictions may be prohibited or restricted by law. Persons in possession of this communication indirectly should inform themselves about and observe any such prohibition or restrictions. To the extent that you have received this communication indirectly and solicitations are prohibited in your jurisdiction without registration, the market commentary in this communication should not be considered a solicitation. The risk of loss in trading futures and/or options is substantial, and each investor and/or trader must consider whether this is a suitable investment. Past performance, whether actual or indicated by simulated historical tests of strategies, is not indicative of future results. Trading advice is based on information taken from trades and statistical services and other sources that of Midwest Market Management believes are reliable. We do not guarantee that such information is accurate or complete, and it should not be relied upon as such. Trading advice reflects our good faith judgment at a specific time and is subject to change without notice. There is no guarantee that the advice we give will result in profitable trades.